The Galaxy Z Flip6 might be a little boring, but it's really good. Now, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I have not written out a script for this video. Like, I've just kind of been thinking in my brain of like what I want to say about this phone, and I think I have some thoughts. You know, originally when I was thinking about what I was gonna say about this phone, I was like kind of stumped a little bit because I was like, you know, it's kind of boring. Like, I'm used to using really good high-end Samsung phones, and then this phone is kind of just another really great Samsung phone. There's not really much new to talk about. And so I'm like, what am I gonna say in this video? Like, the phone's really fast and snappy, it has good cameras, it has good battery life, like thumbs up, like the video is gonna be like 10 seconds long. But then I was thinking, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that was the goal all along, because for years we've had really good regular phones like the Galaxy S24 Ultra or even just the regular Galaxy S24, and you know, we've had these types of flagships for a long time now, and they've always been really good phones. But then the thing with folding phones, it was like they were pretty good. It was like, you know, they might get 80% of the way there for a regular flagship phone, but there's always some random compromises, like maybe the camera's not as good or maybe the battery life isn't as good. But with this Z Flip6, it's honestly like you took a regular S24 and can just fold it in half. Besides maybe a couple of exceptions, it's really just a flagship phone that can fold in half. Because if we look at these phones side by side, the Z Flip6 and the S24, a lot of it is the same or very similar. Like, both phones have the same exact processor. Both phones have the same exact battery size and charging speed. Both phones also have the same exact camera sensor and might as well have the same exact screen that peaks at the same amount of brightness, of course, except that this one folds in half. Both phones also have a very similar design with this new boxy look. And of course, they're both running Samsung's One UI, with actually, I guess, the advantage going to the Z Flip because there's a couple extra AI features in there. I mean, really, the only differences that you're gonna notice are that the Z Flip has no telephoto camera. It also doesn't have Samsung DeX for those of you who care about that. And I guess it has a side-mounted fingerprint scanner instead of an under-display one if you care about that as well. But really, besides those, the Z Flip6 is kind of just a Galaxy S24 that folds in half, has a cover screen, and costs $300 more. And like I was saying earlier, I think that might have been the goal this whole time, you know, dating back with the original folding devices that Samsung released. Like, do you guys remember the original Z Fold? It had this like tiny little cover screen. Like, it's kind of funny. I kind of forgot that that was a thing until I saw it semi-recently, and I was like, whoa, this screen is tiny. But I think the overall goal was to keep improving these folding devices until they can really just be an actual flagship phone that happens to fold in half. And honestly, if this phone had a telephoto lens and maybe Samsung DeX, then really it would be 100% of the way there to being a flagship phone that happens to fold in half. And so if you're wondering my actual thoughts on daily driving this device, well, it's great. Like, you know, if you've used a flagship Samsung phone, you're gonna get a very similar experience to that. Like, you'll get really good snappy performance. You'll get really good battery life. You'll get a good camera setup. You'll get good software. Like, it's just an overall very good phone, and I love it, and I'm gonna keep using it for a little bit. Now, I know there's gonna be probably some of you out there who are gonna feel like Samsung kind of settled, like they didn't do a bunch of innovation this year. Like, I mean, let's be honest, this is more of a refinement update than like a try things new update, if that makes sense. And you know, I heard somebody say this, I don't remember who it was, but it was another creator, and they said that Samsung is trying to be the default folding phone. And I think they're right. Like, they just want to make their folding phone as polished, as nice as can be, that when somebody in the world thinks like, oh, I'm gonna try and switch to a folding phone, that Samsung is the one company that pops into their brain. And you know, I think that's probably gonna be true. And so on one hand, we have a, you know, a pretty polished device that's a really safe choice to choose if you're choosing a folding phone. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, it would be fun to have old Samsung, you know, where they just throw tons of innovation at their products, you know? And I guess your question might be like, okay, when Samsung is done refining their device to make it just like their S24 flagship or whatever, where do they go from there? And I guess my answer to that is go for the Ultra lineup. Like, we've seen them get close to the regular S series, but I want to see a Z Flip Ultra. Like, give this a full camera setup with a periscope lens, give this titanium, give this a bigger battery, give this an anti-reflective display. Like, that would be cool. But at the end of the day, yeah, this phone is a great device. I recommend it. I love it. It might not be a super interesting update, but it's a great phone. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.